Whew. All right, guys, this is it. Um, Hopefully, I don't tear up. It's a strange combination of feelings going through me when on the last day of school, or on the day that I say farewell in that sense. Because there's a part of me that genuinely wants to just travel this whole journey with you, to walk with you next year, to walk with you the year after that. To continue just forever, right? To continue to challenge you, encourage you, right? That's what every teacher wants. Um, but obviously, that's not the reality, right? That you guys are moving on from 10th grade, um, going on to other teachers, other places, other schools, and I have to leave you at the edge of the forest, like Gandalf did with Bilbo. And so there's so many things I want to say in this video, and I tried to condense it the best I could. I wish we were in person. We're not, but I'm thankful for this opportunity, maybe just to share some things that hopefully send you on your journey well. So first off, I just want to say thank you, and I mean that not in the sense of just thank you for your work or just thank you for turning in your assignments. On a much more personal level, I just want to say thank you for the way that you've challenged me throughout this whole year. I have genuinely felt intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, just personally challenged to grow because of you. And it's not a one way street. It's not just that I have challenged you guys, it's that you guys, with your questions, with your concerns, with your spiritual growth, as well as spiritual struggling, have pushed me to do likewise. No journey is done alone. And as much as hopefully I've been a solid spirit for you guys to lean on, um, you guys have been a spirit for me to lean on in the same way, and it's been a reciprocal relationship. So I just want to say thank you for that. I've seen some incredible things this year. I really have, uh, and I've seen it in individuals. I'm obviously not going to call out names or anything, but for so many people, I've seen a realization and then an acceptance of the call to adventure. A realization that maybe up until this point in their life, they've been living in the cave, accepting the reflections as a reality or accepting the shadows as the light. Um, and that realization can be scary. And so I've seen so many people say, you know what? I want to be a seeker. I want to pursue truth. Uh, I want to live journeying further and further into the mountains. And I've seen an acceptance of that call with so many people, and that has just been beautiful and so encouraging to me. Um, I've seen battles with dragons, and some of you maybe have shared those battles with me. Others, I just see it in your eyes, and I see it in your interactions with others. That life is hard, right? That you guys are going through real battles with darkness, with goblins, with dragons, whatever you want to call it. I've seen y'all wrestle through that, and I've seen you do it with a certain amount of fear, right? Which is completely natural. And I think that we need to embrace that there is a fear when you descend into the dragon's lair, when you face anxiety, depression, all the things that you guys face. There is fear. And yet at the same time, like every hero shows, I've seen an incredible amount of courage. Um, Courage to question things that maybe you had just accepted, courage to face struggles head on, even when you may not know how to face them. Courage to ask difficult questions, courage to accept answers. Um, and I've seen that all year, and it's been so encouraging to me. I've seen many of y'all descend into the abyss, right, which is terrifying. But I've also seen you emerge with the treasure, a deeper faith, a hope for the backcountry, a love of other people, a love of self, a love of the Lord, um, and an awakening of the Zionzacht, right? That longing for, wait a second, there is more to this life than what I can see. There's a part of me missing, and I'm longing for when that time will come when it will be fulfilled. That's a treasure in and of itself. Just being able to articulate that and say, I'm not at home, but one day I will be. Um, I took this picture today because I thought it was super neat. Sophomore English is a doozy of a class. It's a lot of reading. The most reading I think you'll do in all your high school classes. Uh, and so I took this picture because out of all these books, I just wanted to remind us that all of these books are reflections of one bigger story. It's a story that we cannot fully comprehend because we are not God. It's a story that includes heroes, that includes dragons, that includes faith, that includes doubt, that includes confusion, that includes clarity, uh, that includes death, that includes life. Right? It's the greatest story of all time, and yet we can't fully understand it. And so the way that we can grow in our understanding is to look at the reflections, right? To look at all the stories that we've read this year that give us maybe a different angle or a different level of understanding uh, of a bigger story. But the danger here is to say that those stories in and of themselves are good enough, right? To be content with the reflection. I want to remind you guys, always remember that these stories are but reflections of one bigger story, the reality. They are but filters off of the true light. And like they say in The Great Divorce, there's a lot of beauty, but the light's the thing, right? The light is the thing. Um, Go back to Scripture, right? That's what all these stories, whether or not they realize it, are pointing back to, right? They're pointing back to the reality of what Scripture presents us. Some of them purposefully, some of them not, right? But you can't help it because it's all coming from one source. Um, don't be content with anything other than the reality. Guys, look at this. This is so cool. We did the whole map, right? An incredible journey, some incredible takeaways. I will, if anybody wants this, I can print out like some pictures of it if you want, like literally a picture of it, uh, just for a keepsake down the road. We've come across a lot of wisdom in different cycles, in different maybe diagrams to help us understand life. And as my final farewell, what I do, my tradition is that I take really everything that we've looked at and I try and condense it into one story. And typically what happens is I print this story out, I write it, I print it. There's a really cool diagram of a road winding into the mountains to represent the journey of life. And I laminate them and I give them to you on a bookmark. That is obviously not possible right now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you the bookmark and what's on it, and then whether it be through mail or whether it be through just putting it in your lockers at the beginning of next year, all of you will get one of these. And I call this the story of your life. And so I'm going to read this and then pray for you guys and send you on. So this is the story of your life. And it starts with a quote by John Bunyan, where he says, "What can I expect twixt this and our journey's end?" And twixt just means between. What can I expect between this and our journey's end? Life is a journey full of twists and turns. We are not called to live as settlers, but as pilgrims, journeying, if slowly, ever towards the truth. And every journey starts with leaving what you once thought was home. The call to adventure is a daily one, and one that you are allowed to ignore. But the treasure only waits for those who choose to face the guarding dragon, to cross the threshold. This choice is yours and yours alone. If you do choose to accept this call, away from home you'll find the forest dark, the caverns deep, and every shadow holding hungry creatures looking to devour those who wander off the path. Stay the path, even though it's thin, winding, and at times difficult to even see. You will have brief moments on the mountaintop when you are able to see clearly above the mist, but most of life is lived in the mist, and you will have to navigate by glimpses, leaving you wanting always more. Remember that for every key there is a lock. Stay the path. At times, you will inevitably find yourself surrounded by dragons, goblins, and creatures of the dark. Face them head on, move towards them, and cut off their heads. Don't let them limp away, for they always grow back. Evil is a wide but slippery slope, and dark acts lead to dark places. Don't go into the dragon's lair and not expect to find a dragon. Stay the path. But perhaps most dangerous of all, at times you will be summoned off the trail with siren song by those who peddle or sell the reflection as if it were the reality. Beware. Men are good at twisting truth, but it will not satisfy. The reflections, though from the light, are not the light itself. Remember that your leaf is not the tree, though all of your leaves matter because there is a tree of which you are a part. Keep longing for the full picture, the back country. Look into the reflection and then look up to seek the mountain. Don't jump in and drown. On this journey, you will have teachers, mentors, and traveling companions to meet you at the bus stop, to let you lean on them along the way and direct you to the path. But it is your decision alone to travel into the mountains, to grow solid. I hopefully have brought you to the edge of the forest, and it is now your chance to say, on we go. When it grows darkest, remember that being found requires an admittance of being lost. Stay the path. Thankfully, when you find you are lost or surrounded, look up and you will find a lamp to guide you. Look up at it, renew your eyesight in its light, and then get back on the path. Follow the thread. It never leaves, even when you aren't sure you believe in it. Truth is not dependent on your beliefs. There's a thread that promises to lead you home if you will submit to let it guide you, even when you feel you cannot see it. And lastly, traveler, remember that you feel homesick because you are away from home. Do not fall prey to those, however intelligent, who tell you that this world is your home. Deeply feel the Sehnsucht, the homesickness, and keep traveling uphill, looking and longing for the Holy Land. Over all shadows rides the sun, and one day, sooner than you might think, we will find the backcountry. I always have to try and keep from tearing up at this part. Follow the thread, and one day soon I will see you there. And I love this quote from George MacDonald. Says, looking up, they saw each other in tears. They were each longing after the country from whence the shadows fell. And then how do you get there? You must throw yourself in. It is the only way. So guys, throw yourself in. Right? I don't know how else to say it. Throw yourself in. And I want to close with a quote from The Hobbit and send you on your way. I've brought you to the edge of the forest. Right? I've brought you to the edge of the forest on this long journey up into the mountains, and we've learned a lot of truth about what this journey is going to look like, about the dragons, about the longing for home. And this is in The Hobbit when Gandalf takes Bilbo to the edge of the forest and he says, "I got to leave you. This is your journey to take, and this is how I feel right now. I've brought you to the edge of the forest, and now I send you on your way." And Bilbo says, "Do we really have to go through?" And Gandalf replies, "Yes, you do. If you want to get to the other side, you must either go through or give up your quest. There are no safe paths in this part of the world. Remember, you are over the edge of the wild now and in for all sorts of adventures. Take care of yourselves and don't leave the path. There is a long road yet, but it is the last road." Guys, the Sehnsucht is what drives my life. Designs of the longing for when things will be made right, the longing for reaching the backcountry and arriving in the mountains. And it's a long road, right? And it's almost all uphill. And that, we need to be aware of that. We're not going to feel satisfied in this life ever, right? You'll think, oh, I'll be satisfied once I'm married, or I'll be satisfied once I have kids, or I'll be satisfied once I have this job. The truth is, you never will, right? You never will. But embrace that. Embrace that, because that should drive you to chase the time when you will be at home, right? The time when we will be united with the person of Jesus Christ, when we will be made whole, and we'll be at one with the Father. Um, you're going to experience doubt, right? You're going to experience doubt. Now, I want to point to this. This is a great quote that meant a lot to me. And for those that do doubt, I just want to remind you that doubt, confusion, and even disbelief are not a sign that God has left you. And Madeline L'Engle says, those who say they believe in God, but without passion in the heart, without anguish of mind, without uncertainty, without doubt, and even at times without despair, believe only in the idea of God and not in God himself. Right? If you doubt, if you are crying at night because you don't know what to believe, if you don't know what truth is and you want to know, and you're having these existential crises, like I've had, right? I mean, recently I sat in the middle of the soccer field at CCS and cried for about an hour because I had these questions for God that he wasn't answering. That's going to happen, right? That's going to happen. But there's going to come a time when Jesus is going to say, hey, well done, good and faithful servant, right? You kept pursuing me even when the journey was difficult. You kept following the thread even when you weren't sure if you could see it or not. Well done, good and faithful servant. So guys, follow the thread. All right? Follow the thread. Truth, as mysterious as it is, truth is a person. Hear me say that, please. Truth is a person, and it is the person of Jesus. Follow the thread, and it will lead you home. Over all shadows rise the sun. I love you guys dearly.